Hey Vlog, Mike here from Epic Duck Studios, and welcome to Just Paint the Base Blood Bowl Pitch. I'm going to be showing you how I painted a comic style Blood Bowl pitch directly on a flat base. So this is a base that requires no flock, no glue, no mess, just paints you've already got on hand. I'm going to be using Wogflesh and Warboss Green for the grass part of this base, starting with Wogflesh as the base coat. Now I'm going to leave a small stripe in the middle unpainted here. I'm not going to go over it with the green because I want to add a line there to make it look more like a sports pitch. So we'll be coming in with some lighter colors later to create that effect. For the line through the middle of the base, I'm going to base coat it with Morghast Bone. Now I felt that the Wogflesh was too dark on its own, so I've gone ahead and mixed just a little bit of Warboss Green into it to get about a 50-50 mix of the two, and I'm just using that to brighten up the overall base shade of the grass here. Then I'm going to be switching over to pure Warboss Green to add some highlights and a little bit of a grass texture. So here I'm using the Warboss Green to create the idea of some blades of grass overlapping the line we've painted, and what this is doing is just kind of chipping up and making the edge of that line a little less, straight and really, too crisp and too clean. I'm going to continue adding this detail to both sides of the line, just making the line a little bit broken, have a little bit of grass overgrowing the edge of it. And I'm also going to add some sort of free-floating grass details to the big, more open parts of the base, away from the line we're painting. And that just gives the idea that the vegetation's a little bit unkempt, because I really feel like, there's probably not a lot of groundskeeping going on in the Blood Bowl leagues. I'm pretty sure the pitch is going to be a little rough and a little, haphazard. And so having some longer grass over here really helps to add some texture to the base and just some visual interest. So I felt like the green was still really kind of wide open on this one part of the base, so I decided to add a little more grass to it, but then another thought hit me. I should be painting some stones here as well. So I'm going to be mixing some Administratum Gray and Mechanicus Standard Gray to get just a nice mid-tone gray. I find one of these is too dark and the other is too light, and together they kind of just work well. So I'm going to mix these two together and paint a few little pebbles or rocks on the base as well. Now the stones are nice, easy details, but I felt like I could take this even one step further, so I'm going to use a little bit of Steel Legion Drab and add a bulb patch to the base as well. So this is going to be an area where the grass has obviously been cleared away and there's just a little bit of dirt showing up through. And what I'm doing is I'm mimicking the same shape as the grass. The idea is that there's, blades of grass overhanging this bald spot. So you can see I'm kind of working a bunch of small angled lines that fan out towards this spot, and that helps build the shape of the blades of grass pointing over it. Now I'm going to come back in with the Warboss Green and just give those blades of grass a little bit of a highlight to make them brighter, because basically anywhere I've got grass overhanging something else, I want the grass to feel like the topmost, most dominant feature. With the grass all sorted out, I'm going to use a little bit of Screaming Skull to make the line across the base a little brighter, because it's a little bit flat right now. It's a little bit too ivory as opposed to white, and so I'm just working in a little bit of the Screaming Skull here, basically in between the blades of grass. The idea is the grass is casting a little bit of a shadow. What's showing between the grass is the brightest point. Using some Administratum Gray, I add a highlight to the rocks. Now this is going to frame most of the rock, and I basically just want to leave one dark area as if there's a bit of a shadow or a bit of a, a plane to the surface of the rock. Not really trying to overthink it here, just leave some dark spots, some light spots, and you're good to go. Now I'm going to come in with some Higgins Black Magic and add some comic style lining. If you're just trying to do this as more of a traditional base without the comic style look, you're done. You can just skip this step. Now, Higgins Black Magic is a waterproof artist ink, and you'll find this in most fine art stores. It's with the calligraphy and drawing inks, as opposed to any sort of hobby paint. The reason I like using it is it has a very nice flow off the brush, and it's a very true opaque black. As opposed to using black paint, which is a little bit translucent and typically a little bit non-black. Most black paints are actually very dark blues, very dark purples, or things like that. Higgins Black Magic is a deep, true black, and it really covers in one coat. And when I'm doing a lot of small, fine lines, I really value not having to do things twice. So the first thing I do with the Black Magic is I use it to strengthen the separation between different details. Like here I'm separating the grass from the white line, and I'll be using it also to outline the rocks and the little extra patches of grass I've created as well. Just basically, you know, the way you would draw those things as if we were doing it on paper, right? It's just there to note the boundaries of a detail. That's step one. Now, doing the comic style work on a flat base like this is a lot less to do than there is on a miniature, because we don't have any grooves we have to follow, any shadows we have to create. We're really just outlining and then adding a little bit of embellishment. So it's a much quicker process on a flat surface here than it is if you've watched my tutorials where I use this kind of lining on a miniature. Now, the brush I'm using here is the 000 brush from the Game Envy Artist Arsenal series, and I actually worked with Game Envy to select these brushes for their store. I've been using these for my comic style work for about 3 years now, and I absolutely stand behind them as an inking brush, though I do use them for my regular painting as well. Now, aside from using ink to isolate the different details I've painted, I also like to use a little bit to create the idea of detail within some of the larger, more open surfaces. So you can see I'm outlining some blades of grass that really aren't separate or distinct. I'm also going to add some little facets to the surface of the rocks, and a few little blemishes to the line painted across the middle of the base. Of course, with any base, the last thing to do is to paint the rim, and here I'm just using some Steel Legion Drab because that ties back to the little bit of bare earth on the base, and I guess Steel Legion Drab is the GW default base rim color now. And there we have the completed Blood Bowl base painted in comic style. No flock, no gravel, no mess, just paint and ink. Thanks for watching, and until next time, do something epic. Hi there, I'm Mike from Epic Duck Studios. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you've enjoyed this one and will like and subscribe so you catch my future content. You can also watch me several times a week at twitch.tv/epicduckstudios, where I stream all my live commission painting. If you're interested in having me paint some models for you, you can reach out to me at epicduckstudios@gmail.com or use my website epicduck.com. If you want to give a little bit of ongoing support to the show, you can do that through Patreon, patreon.com/epicduck. Even giving as little as $1 a month helps keep the lights on, the paint flowing, and honestly puts a roof over my family's head and food on the table. You can also sign up for more interesting perks, like get your name in video credits like these fine flockers over here, or even one-on-one private coaching, which I do through Discord. Whether you choose to support the show or not, I hope you've been inspired by what you've seen today, and you'll go out there and just do something epic.